Hello, everyone. This is Cayden Riley here with the Mr. Olympia, and today we are going to do an Instagram Live interview with multiple men's physique champion Ryan Terry. This is going to be a great interview. He is one of the best men's physique competitors in the world, and we'll be able to ask him some of his secrets on his diet, workout plan, and how he's able to maintain his incredible shape throughout the year. So let's wait for him to join us. And here he is.
He's about to connect right now.
Hello.
What's up, Ryan? How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Good, good, good. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come
No
on
problem.
here and share some of your secrets.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
Of course, of course. So first off, let's ask how you've been handling the quarantine. Obviously, this is a big, big thing that's prevented a lot of people from exercising, from competing. How have you managed to maintain your fitness level during this quarantine?
Yeah, so I've got to admit, I can't believe, hopefully we're coming out of the end of it now. The UK seems to be lifting, and we had today signs of the gyms reopening. So they're not open yet, but
Okay.
maybe next week we might be able to go back to some normality regarding training. But we've been in lockdown, me and my wife, for about 4.5 months now, going on 5 months, because she was classed as high risk because we've got a baby on the way. So we went into lockdown quite quickly. So I knew that was going to happen, and I basically built a home gym. Luckily, I managed to finish it a couple of days before it was absolute lockdown. So we got a dumbbell rack in there, we got some cables in there, barbell, so the basics.
Yeah.
But it was good enough to get good muscle contraction, enough to do enough to sustain. So I wouldn't have built muscle in this time,
Right.
but I would have definitely, hopefully, maintained it. And my weight has stayed quite stable the way through. So it's been difficult, it's been challenging, but at the same time, it's took me back to my roots. So when I first started, it was with a set of dumbbells and a barbell in my room. So it kind of felt like I was taking a step back, but in a good way, like resetting,
Yeah.
going back to my roots. So I've enjoyed it. It was hard at first, and I must admit it was quite panicky with regards to seeing America still open, and obviously the likes of seeing Brandon, Andre, Raymond, all the top guys still training, still like in the full flow of things, and we were obviously restricted. But yeah, we got through it.
Excellent, excellent. Now, I think that's a good question. When you're designing your own home gym, what was the first few things that you said, this has to be at my home gym?
So, to be honest, I built the home gym. I was designing the home gym before the coronavirus hit and all this, but I was building it in a different way. So, I have a morning routine and an evening routine. So, my weight training will always be of an evening with my training partner in the gym. So, my morning routine is a lot of core work and a lot of cardiovascular, that type of training. So, I wanted to be able to do those type of sessions at home. So, when I designed the gym, it was very ab and core dominant. So the cables were so that I could do wood chops, like weighted crunches, hanging leg raises, all that type of things off the dual pulley rack. And then I ordered abs benches, things like that. So I didn't intend to have dumbbells or barbells in there. It was mainly just cardio work. But when the coronavirus hit, I saw this was going to actually be long term. So I quickly got a rack in there, dumbbells.
Right.
Some barbells, and it's worked well. I struggled a bit on legs, I must admit, with not having the amount of weight I need to push through my legs. But we've done well. We've done okay. Could have been worse.
So when you're outside of quarantine, outside of the coronavirus atmosphere that we're in, if you're in the gym, are you sticking to more free weights or are you sticking to more machines?
So we alternate, so we're very sporadic, and that's how I've always enjoyed my training. So we've never really stuck to a specific routine. I've trained with super heavyweight bodybuilders all my life since I was 14. Like my stepdad was a super heavyweight. So for me, that's all we ever knew was trying to be sporadic, going in and seeing how we felt on the day. So if, for instance, we were dieting, or if one of the super heavies were dieting and we were low on carbs, we weren't going to go in and try and max out and do one rep max. We were always trying to train around if we had injuries or trying to be sensible in our training. So it was down to, on the day, if we've had enough sleep, if I've ate enough food, I'm feeling strong, I'll touch the heavier weight. Whereas if I'm like saying that in the latter part of prep, or I've not had a good night's sleep or things like that, I start to do like time under tension work or supersets, triple drop sets, and try and like just put the intensity there rather than putting load and risking injury. So I've always kept enjoyment in my training by keeping it very sporadic. It's just making up as I go along. As long as I know I've passed that pump, I'm starting to get to the point where I'm not getting the pump and I'm fatiguing, that's when I know I'm done. So yeah.
So do you keep your rest periods shorter when you're doing that type of training? So it's more like a superset, faster pace through your workout?
Yeah, so I think over the years, and this has come from injuries, it's male ego. When I train with people who are a lot bigger than me, a lot stronger than me, I've always tried to push the heavier weight, and it started to take its toll on my physique. So I've had 2 hip surgeries last year, and I had slipped disc.
Man.
Yeah, 2. I was not training 6 months last year. I was on crutches, and I've had a few problems with the back. So I'm sensible now, and I know how to train around those injuries and to be safe. And talking to likes of Dexter Jackson, he's been quite good in that respect. Like how old Dexter is now with no injuries and stuff. And he's taught me it's not all about mass weight and things like that. And William Bonac, for instance, William doesn't squat anymore. He's all about like machine work on his legs and how phenomenal his legs are. So I took heed in all what they were saying, and I've implemented that into my training now.
Awesome. Now, you were talking about before, depending on how many carbs you have, what's your calorie intake before or earlier in your day. Do you dictate what you're training that day by your nutrition?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So I would always look to, if I'm going to do, it's a bit backwards, or it's a different way of looking at it. So anything what I feel is weak muscle group, I will double them up in the week. So for instance, my arms, I'd like to bring my arms up because I've just not got that 3D muscle. But unless I'm hitting a double bicep, they kind of get lost. And men's physique, we don't hit double biceps. So some of my front poses, they get lost. So my type of training is trying to double up my weak muscle group. So for instance, I'll hit them at the start of the week on a Tuesday, and then hit them once they've fully recovered, hit them again towards the end of the week. And with those 2 days, I will increase my food intake, my carbs, in order to try and get better pumps, better training, more, basically better pumps around my training and fueling those workouts. So, and then obviously on bigger muscle groups, I'll try and increase the carbs on those days and back off at a weekend or on a rest day.
Excellent. Okay, so now the type of dieting that you do you do something similar like a carb cycle? Do you just track your calories? How do you dictate that?
Yeah, so when we start dieting for the Olympia, I start to manipulate with regards to carb cycling. But I try to, on my off season, not that I switch off, but I try to relax a bit with regards to how regimented I am. So I'll still have my 6 meals a day. Each meal will still consist of 60 grams of net carbs plus, but it'll just be like viewed rather than weighed. It will just be like by eye. Because I've been doing this now I've been training 17 years and doing this as a profession for 6-7 years. So I kind of know what my body requires and stuff. So on my off season, I won't miss a meal. I'll still have 6 inputs, but it just won't be as regimented whilst I'm on prep, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I lost my train of thought then, sorry, where were we going?
Oh, you're talking about your carb cycle if you're not on prep, getting ready for the Olympia.
Yeah. And for I've got a very, very fast metabolism. So I have to, each meal has to consist of carbs. Like I trained with guys super heavies, and when we used to diet down, they were shocked to the fact that I was on like double the carbs they were. People are assuming because of their size, they were eating more, but it's just down to metabolism. And unfortunately, I'm a very hard gainer. So in some respects, it's good when I'm dieting, but then in other respects, it's hard to maintain muscle whilst I'm dieting or even grow.
So during an off-season program, what would be like a high day for you?
So I try and push around 500 grams of carbs. So we try and go for around 4,500 to 5,000. It's a real struggle if you're doing that clean. I'm not one for trying to put dirty calories. I never have been, because I got into fitness because I wanted to be lean all year, and I felt better eating cleaner food. So
Of course.
by trying to eat them amount of calories clean, it is hard. And for someone who, for me, like I struggled to eat that amount of food, but I get it in. I have to, and then obviously it's better because then when we start dieting for the Olympia, 12 to 16 weeks, depending where we're at, I'm at a better standpoint because I've got 4,500 calories. I've got a better standpoint to start reducing down.
Of course.
A lot of people say that's very high, but then at least I've got something to play with. If I go into my Olympia prep at 2,500, 3,000 calories, then I've got nowhere to go with it.
Right.
So that's what I've always tried to do. Yeah.
So okay, you're around 4,000 to 5,000 calories going into the start of your Olympia prep.
Yeah.
If you can recall and speaking of that, you've had some of the most decorated careers at the Olympia. You've placed in the top 6 the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And you know, there's only one more spot you have to get in that top 5. So
I would love that. Yeah.
So going into that, how low does some of your low carb days look going into your contest prep? So you're 4 weeks out, 5 weeks out from the Olympia. How low have you seen your calorie intake, carbohydrate intake be?
So I've reduced down to 180. That was the lowest I went, 180 grams. And to be honest,
carbohydrates.
128 grams of carbs, and that actually felt like I was on zero carbs. Because I was just struggling to function without that. And I tried a zero carb once. We tried to do it just for 2 or 3 days to see, and it just didn't suit my body. I flattened off. I wasn't getting the best out of my training. I wasn't functioning mentally right and stuff. So my body doesn't require to be down that low. So I would go down to 180. And a lot of my carbs on that day was focused around my training sessions. So they would be like maybe liquid sources like cyclic dextrin or Vitago. So pre, intra, and post, I'd probably get 100 of those grams of carbs in that
just
session.
Around the training session.
Yeah.
So now, since you have a fast metabolism, for some people 180, 120 grams of carbs, that's not super low for some people.
Yeah.
Are you doing a lot of cardio going into your preps, or are you backing off from that?
Yeah. So this is something like Neil. I've always done it, and this is something I think me and Neil have clashed heads with slightly with it, because I struggle to let go of that because it's all I've ever known. And I understand Neil's reasoning behind what he's saying is backing off the cardio. But for me, mentally, I have to feel like I'm in the trenches every day, and I have to feel like I'm going through it. So I do an hour every morning, 60 minutes every morning from 12 weeks out. I start at 16 weeks out, and we'll do 30 minutes, something like that. And then we'll progress up. And at the 12-week mark, I'll start to do 60 minutes. But it'll just be a very low intensity. It won't be anything like high intensity, because we've tried that before and I lost weight way too quickly, and it was too detrimental. So we just focus on a steady paced walk. And that's how I function. Yeah. So I've always done that.
Now,
sorry, go on.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, I know when you did your takeover, you did a lot of walking outside. Now, do you prefer outdoor walking over treadmill use, or?
Yeah, so I think, if I'm brutally honest, treadmill works better for me. I sweat more and I'm more fatigued from that. But we don't often get decent weather in the UK. So whenever the weather's okay, I live out in the sticks, and I'm a big country boy. I love the fields, and my house backs onto loads of fields, so I just try to get out as much as I can and take the air, fresh air in, and I appreciate being outside as best we can. So that's what I tend to do.
Excellent. Okay, so obviously you've had some amazing finishes at the Olympia, and you mentioned that you felt that a part of your package that you could improve on would be the arms.
Yes.
Can you emphasize a little bit more on how you plan on making that better? Obviously, you said you're hitting triceps twice a week. What are some of your favorite arm exercises that you're incorporating in your workout routine now to improve your arms?
Yeah, so we've adapted. It's hard because I've never really, when I get feedback from Steve Weinberg or Tyler, it's always just about a little bit more fullness, a little bit more size, and just perfecting that. And it's hard for me to stand next to the likes of, I say, Brandon, Raymond, because they are big, heavy, muscle-bellied physiques. Like they've got, and I'm not designed for that. So I always have to focus on condition and my shape, and that's what kind of pulls me through. So if I try and focus too much on size, that's when I place 6th and 5th. The 2 times I've tried to focus on size, I've dropped places. So it's an indication of me working to my strength, which is more condition. So that being said, like I said, I need to make improvements. And for instance, arms is something, unfortunately, like when we hit double biceps and stuff, they look fine. But from the front, when I'm just relaxed, because we can't even, when we relax, we can't hit a most muscular or anything. It's difficult to show them off without tensing and looking constipated. So
of course.
Yeah, so I need to try and get them hanging like swollen, just like that as they are. So I've split them up into two workouts. So on average, it's happening on a Tuesday and probably Saturday. Like I just depend on whenever it's fully recovered. I'll make sure they're fully recovered before I go again. And the first session will be quite heavy, low reps. Heavy, low reps, long rest periods, and just focusing more on just putting it under load, putting it under stress. And then the second workout will be more blood volume, will be more like we were talking before, supersets, giant sets, cluster sets, anything to just keep the intensity there, the smallest rest periods as possible. And if I'm brutally honest, I always feel that session a lot more than heavy weight. I just get that better muscle contraction, that mind to muscle connection. So it seems to be working at present. And then obviously there's 2 other things, is increasing my food and trying to train later in the day so I can get like 4 to 5 solid big carb meals in before I train. I just function better that way. Yeah. And secondly, like L-arginine, anything like that, like to just help with that pumping agent, just to try and stretch your muscle fascias. But I'm just not gifted when it comes to my arms. I always get comments going, you need to train your arms more, you need to bring your arms up. And I'm like, I'm trying.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm trying. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, now going from obviously we just spoke about your weakness, but everyone knows you're known for your midsection. Give us some insight. Obviously, conditioning or your nutrition is an important factor in showing your midsection. We know you're always going to be on point conditioning wise when you hit the stage. What are some of your favorite ab exercises? I mean, how many times do you hit them a week? Give us some insight on that.
So when I first started training, I was 14 and I got obsessed with the likes of Rob Riches, people like that who were on front covers of Muscle and Fitness, and I was like Greg Plitt, and I was thinking that those abs, and that's kind of what instilled me in. I was a bit naive in the early days, thinking I had to train them every day after every session in order to get a six-pack. And I was actually I was going backwards, because I had a six-pack there. They were developed and they were functioning very well. I was getting stronger and stronger, but I never really had that 3D blocky effect, which I always wanted, which I was like what I was inspiring to be. So I started to play around with my ab sessions, and I realized very quickly that it's like any other muscle part, that you need to break the muscle fibers down, rest a couple of days, 3-4 days, let them fully rest, recover, and then hit them again, go again. Okay. And that's how I adopted it. And the moment I adopted that method, I saw big changes happening quite quickly. So I hit them twice a week now, but I will train them like a muscle part. So a lot of people I speak to hit them twice a week or 3 times a week, will do 20 minutes after a session. Whereas for me, I will treat them as a full session. And I'll try and split my midsection up. So I'll really think about the ab exercise I'm doing within that session. So the first session of the week would be predominantly like 60% heavy, like say upper and lower abdominals. So it'll be like heavy weight, that kind of work. And then there'll be 40% will be like oblique work and core work. And then the second session of the week will be flipped around. So I'll focus more on core work, oblique work, and then a bit of heavy weight towards the end. And yeah, that's worked really well for me. And I think it's key as well. I think a lot of people as well, and bodybuilders start to or when I speak to bodybuilders, they have that, they just want to put like a lot of weight behind it in order to, because that's how they've always instilled with every other muscle part. But I think it's important with abs to not shy away from the boring, monotonous work, which is isotension. I do that quite a lot when I'm prepping for a show. Every other day I'll do a few isotension every morning, which is just crunches in front of a mirror, holding my poses. Core work like vacuums, planks, just everything. What would you call it? Like static movements. Yeah.
Yep.
And I find that's what pulls in tight and keeps everything tight in my midsection. So if I was to pick one ab exercise, which I feel is the most productive for me personally, was hanging leg raises, because that hits everything all in one exercise, one movement. So you've got your upper and lower abdominals. Obviously, with you having to stabilize from not swinging, you're using all your core. When you're lifting up, you're lifting half your body weight. So it's instilling that core work, your oblique work. It's fantastic. It's horrible, but it's good.
All right, so hanging leg lifts would be that number one exercise. Let's say right now, you and I are in the gym. We want to hit a quick ab session. We get onto the hanging. We're doing hanging leg raises. What would be a set and rep scheme for that exercise?
So for me personally, I always start on that exercise because it's the hardest one to perform correctly, and I will do 4 sets to failure. So that means
so not even a rep count.
No, don't do a rep count, because the thing is, if you're trying to aim for 15 and you're swinging at 10, you're completely off, and then you start to lose your momentum. Whereas if you just focus on each and every rep as its own single rep, and you just keep going, creating momentum, then that's all you need to do. So that's what I've always done.
I love it. Okay.
Yeah.
So for all you fitness fans out there, that's how you get Ryan Terry abs.
That's it.
So now we're going into 2020.
Yes.
What's the rest of your calendar look like? I mean, we have the Olympia, December 17th through the 20th at the Zappos Theater in the Planet Hollywood.
Excited.
Yes, it's going to be an amazing year. Everyone get your tickets at MrOlympia.com so you can see the biggest, best athletes in the world compete all in one stage. So what does the rest of your year look like, Ryan?
I've got to admit, it's been such a weird year for everyone, hasn't it? It's been crazy year. And because of last year being away for 6 months, away from the stage, away from the gym and on crutches, it really made me appreciate and miss the stage so much that I said, next year I'm getting back on stage all year like I used to do. So I planned to do the Arnold, I planned to do Pittsburgh, New York. I'd signed Athleticon and obviously Mr. Olympia. So that was always my goal, to get back on stage all year this year. Obviously, that's not come to fruition and things have changed. But I did want to try and do a show before the Olympia. Just one, to get my confidence back up, because I've not been on stage for a year, and 2, to test a few new things I'd like to do before I step on stage. But just regarding food and peak week and sodium levels, just to try things before, because it's not something you would experiment with at the Olympia stage. You stick to what you know. So it would have been nice to do a show before. But as it stands, the UK, and I'm a bit fearful of it, because they're cancelling flights to America quite up until, I think it's into October, November at the minute. So for me, I'm just hoping the flights will be on for us to get there in December. So I'm going to focus all my effort and time into the Olympia.
Excellent. Okay. Full speed ahead on the Olympia. Obviously, you know that we've now moved onto the Las Vegas Strip. We're at the Planet Hollywood, Zappos Theater. I'm
excited. How much does how many people does it fit in the theater?
The theater holds around 8,000 people, and it's a state-of-the-art theater. Some of the biggest names in the entertainment business have performed there. It's going to be an incredible event, and we have some amazing things in store for the fans to showcase all the hard work that you guys put into this sport and into your physiques.
I think it's going to be brilliant. I must admit, it's going to be very strange for me, because obviously I've been to the Olympia 6 times. I've competed there 5 times. I was a spectator in the first year, 2014, and it's always known as the Orleans and stuff. So it's going to be a weird one, but it's going to be interesting. I can't wait to see obviously the new stadium, and even the expo as well, because obviously that's all changed now. So that's going to be brilliant to see.
Yeah, the Olympia World Fitness Festival. This is the first year for that. It's going to be awesome. We have amazing things in store, and we'll be making more announcements in the next coming weeks about what we'll be doing at the expo. So guys, stay tuned. It's going to be great.
It's nice. It's nice that it's on the strip, because a lot of my friends and family who travel over, they've obviously stopped at the Orleans because it's part of the old Olympia, but it was always a struggle to get into the strip. So I think now everything being on the strip is just going to bring that. I don't know. It's going to be good. It'll be really good.
You know what? And the thing is, Planet Hollywood, it's in a state-of-the-art hotel. It's gorgeous, and you won't have to leave. It's got all the restaurants, shopping. Obviously, it has the Olympia and everything we have going on there. And then it's only a 10 to 15 minute walk to the expo at the Sands Convention Center. So there's no need to get into a car or even a taxi. You guys can simply walk. So it's going to be an amazing event. And Jake Wood, Dan Solomon, and the entire Olympia team has been working hard to make this year special. Obviously, there's a bunch of circumstances that we can't control, but this year will be remarkable. Lastly, what would be, now going towards the motivation part? This industry is definitely generates a lot of its fan support about improving yourself. What would be your advice for the new men's physique competitors coming up into the sport, wanting and seeing you on the Olympia stage, wanting to be on the Olympia stage? What would be your bit of advice for them?
So I would say don't rush the process. And I speak to like young teenagers and stuff, and they're quick and eager to just bypass the whole career side of it and just be on the Olympia stage and just be there. And it's a journey. It's like enjoying the whole part of it. Like for me, it wouldn't be the same. I wouldn't, if I was just go straight into the top 5 and not have all the sweat, blood and tears going through it all, I don't know, it wouldn't have the same effect for me. So I would say enjoy the process. Make sure you focus on the industry is evolving so quickly, and bodybuilding, men's physique, everything, the standard is getting incredible. So for me, it's just keeping an eye on your competition, making sure you're going alongside them at the right time, keeping healthy, and trying to build a name for yourself, like away from brands as well. That's something like not a lot of people talk about. And I'm saying build yourself as like a Ryan Terry brand, or build yourself up and just enjoy competing for you, rather than thinking it's going to be a money thing or this and that. Focus on you and the enjoyment of the sport. Then all that can come alongside it. Don't expect to come in and just want sponsors and all this to happen overnight. You've got to work for it, and just enjoy this sport as a hobby before you see it as a career, if that makes sense.
I like that. You explained it perfectly. I think a lot of people, in this day and age, everything's about immediate, and I want it now. And any wait time, people start to.
And the thing is as well, like if people have only come into the industry and they've only just met me now and stuff, and you look at what I've achieved and stuff. But if you look back 10 years, I used to work as a plumber on site. This was my hobby. I used to do it as a hobby on the side or whatever. And when I started and I joined with USN, I've been with my supplement company for 10 years. This 10th year was last year. So I've been working with them. But I started at the very loads of like promo work, sample work, just building a name for myself. And I built rapport with magazines such as Muscle and Fitness, but I didn't get that overnight. That took years and years and years. And once I got that first cover, which took me about 5 years, 6 years to build the rapport enough to be able to get that front cover shot. And then I built my name off being a cover model, and the other ones came from that. So I just feel like, it's harder than you think, but just stick at it and enjoy the process.
Yeah, you know what? It's great words. I think a lot of people need to hear that, especially in today's day and age. It's hard work, consistency, and dedication. You put all 3 of those things together. Don't give up. It takes time. We all want Ryan Terry abs, but it takes time.
I want that title. I want that Mr. Olympia title on your thing. I need that.
There we go. Hey, well, you know what? It's going to be exciting to see your process through your prep.
Definitely.
Let's hope and pray that the world, the situation in the world gets better, and we will see you at the Olympia. Ryan, I want to say thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule again to share some insight on your preps, on who you are. You are a model for how we want the men's physique to look and be.
Appreciate
And
that.
thank you for your inspiration for the fans. And
No, I appreciate
again,
yeah,
hey,
thank you, and thank you for having me on. And I appreciate. Obviously, we didn't speak to many people, but thank you to everyone who obviously joined in and asked some questions. It was good to see you all.
awesome,
Okay.
Ryan. Hey, it was great talking to you, and I'll be seeing you guys soon. And again, everyone, December 17th through the 20th, the Mr. Olympia Weekend. See Ryan Terry compete for the men's physique Olympia title.
Definitely. Thanks,
Awesome.
Cayden.
Talk to you soon.
Take care. Cheers.
All
Bye
right,
bye.
bye.